Speeding by at 65.
In the homes which are close to the national forest. The Chinese scholar is free. What does it mean to U.S.-China relations? Shopper, beware. Again, it may advertise fruit, but it's beet juice. We'll take a closer look tonight at the dilemma for young women in college, dating and mating and not finding stability. And ABC's Mike Lee on the road to anywhere. What do the granddaughter and the monkeys have in common?
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
Good evening, everyone. We are all fascinated by the unpredictability of nature, and tonight in the American West and on the Italian island of Sicily, the two latest examples. We're going to begin with Mount Etna. Europe's most active volcano is living up to its reputation and its name, which is Greek for I burn. This week, the Italians declared a state of emergency on Sicily, and today they sent in the army. ABC's Bob Woodruff is there.
When a new river of lava began to snake down the mountain today, scientists were not particularly surprised. But the people most immediately affected were nervous. It cut through the ski lift. Mount Etna has snow on it part of the year, and it threatened the main tourist area.
This situation is very dynamic, and it can change in a matter of hours.
The people who live near the edge of this volcano and in the valley below have lived with this for thousands of years. Its first known eruption was in 475 BC. It has erupted violently 4 times in the last 30 years. Tonight, the Italian army has moved in, using bulldozers to make barriers and control the lava's flow. This lava flow is moving too slowly to present any real danger to people. The real threat is to property. So any building that authorities feel may be in the way of the lava will be evacuated. Scientists say the volcano has not increased its production of lava. The lava is simply coming down the mountain in 2 streams instead of 1. Tonight, as the tallest volcano in Europe glows in the sky, it is not hard to understand why the ancient Greeks thought a monster was imprisoned inside. Bob Woodruff, ABC News on Mount Etna in Italy.
In the West tonight, there's another difficult fight going on against fire outside Jackson Hole, Wyoming. Several hundred people have now been forced from their homes by a wildfire they cannot get under control. ABC's Judy Muller is in Wyoming. Judy.
Well, Peter, the winds have picked up considerably here in the Jackson Hole area, and that is not good news for firefighters trying to turn the blaze away from about 100 luxury vacation homes.
The fire has consumed 2,500 acres of forest, tinder dry from years of drought.
This fire has become very active again, and it's throwing many spots way ahead of itself.
It continues to march towards several subdivisions of multi-million-dollar estates less than a mile away.
It wouldn't make a difference if a home is worth $25,000 or it's worth $11 million. We're going to protect it just the very same way.
Hundreds of residents who were evacuated from those homes yesterday were allowed back briefly this morning to retrieve some belongings.
Fishing rods, rifles, special books, family photos, and our artwork.
Ed Oppler has lived here for 23 years. He believes newcomers who built here were unaware of the risks of living so close to the forest.
They don't know the power of weather. Weather controls everything.
Winds are up, humidity is down, and temperatures are high. That dangerous combination has many homeowners worried about whether their homes will survive the night.
All the firefighters and all they're just doing a great job. They're wonderful people.
1,100 firefighters have been brought in, along with more than 24 airplanes and helicopters. The town of Jackson, which is 5 miles away on the other side of the Snake River, is not threatened.
A number of famous people have homes here in the Jackson area, including Vice President Cheney and Harrison Ford. Their homes are not in danger. Fire officials suspect this fire started in a public campground, but now the important question, Peter, is where will it stop?
Exactly. Many thanks, Judy Muller, outside Jackson Hole tonight. Other news in the National Brief today, President Bush was lobbying the Congress trying to get his version of a patient's Bill of Rights passed. Mr. Bush wants a bill that limits a patient's right to sue his or her HMO. The Democrats' version gives patient more flexibility. In Florida today, a judge is considering the sentence for a 14-year-old boy who shot and killed his favorite teacher when he was 13. Nathaniel Brazil said that he was sorry for the pain he has caused his teacher's family. The judge will decide tomorrow whether he gets 25 years in prison or perhaps life. The computer giant Hewlett-Packard is laying off another 6,000 people. They say their worldwide sales are down, but that's almost 11,000 layoffs at Hewlett-Packard this year. And Philip Morris has apologized for releasing a study that told the government in the Czech Republic that it could save money on health care because smokers die younger. The world's biggest tobacco company says now the study was a mistake. In Washington, a group of Navajo Indians was given the Congressional Gold Medal today for their contribution to the Allied victory in World War II. They were called the Navajo Code Talkers. They developed a code based on Navajo, which the Japanese could not understand. Only 5 of the original 29 are still living. The Senate is embroiled today in a traditional battle over free trade, with all of the rhetoric associated with such a battle. At issue is the right of Mexican trucks to move freely throughout the country. Today, the Senate ignored a veto threat from the Bush administration and moved closer to approving rules for tighter inspection of Mexican trucks and drivers. Here's ABC's Linda Douglas.
It is ground zero in the battle over free trade. Under the North American Free Trade Agreement, NAFTA, the United States promised to open its border to Mexican trucks by the end of this year. But Democrats are demanding elaborate safety inspections that could slow that process for years.
Under our bill, when you're driving on the highway behind a Mexican truck, you can feel safe.
5 years ago, after inspecting many Mexican trucks, the Clinton administration decided not to allow them to travel beyond the narrow border area to which they are now restricted.
One, Mexican trucks had significant and serious safety problems at a great rate. And number two, we could not certify the qualification of Mexican drivers in a way that would make us all comfortable.
This year, a Department of Transportation inspection found 37% of Mexican trucks had serious safety violations. But that's an improvement over 4 years ago. Business groups say Democrats are promoting negative stereotypes about Mexican drivers.
That is what racial profiling is all about. I'm sorry, there's no way around that.
Republican Senate leader Trent Lott has piled on, calling Democrats' concerns anti-Mexican, anti-Hispanic.
Frankly, I'm baffled and very deeply troubled by accusations of that kind.
Democrats say Republicans are trying to help their business friends at the expense of American safety. Republicans counter that Democrats are fronting for their friends, the Teamsters, who are worried about losing jobs.
They're going to hire Mexican truckers that work at 1/5 of what American truckers work at, and they're going to lay off the Americans and hire the Mexicans. That's the name of the game.
With powerful interests on both sides, no one is giving ground. Linda Douglas, ABC News, Capitol Hill.
There was a very meaningful family reunion in Washington today. A Chinese scholar who's been a resident here for many years returned from China after first being sentenced to 10 years in prison for spying and then told she could leave the country. Zhao Jian, who's a researcher at American University in Washington, was arrested in February. Her husband and 5-year-old son are here, but her parents are still in China. So here she is, cautiously, in the first person.
My time in China was very difficult to me. It's harder for me to be separated from my family than for me, myself, sitting there, be put into absolute isolation in a Chinese detention facility there. Before I departed Beijing, I was warned not to talk about anything, not to talk about my time, my experience in China in any form. But with America standing behind me, with these fine people standing behind me, I'm not scared. It's a bittersweet time for me. On the one hand, I'm very happy to be here speaking to you guys. On the other hand, I'm very concerned about my families back there. For any of my actions here, they might be the ones to take the consequences. As you guys can see, I'm trying to not make any more trouble for my family back there.
Other items in the overseas briefing today. In Macedonia, the NATO Secretary General arrived for peace talks aimed at averting war between the government and ethnic Albanian forces. U.S. Marines also arrived to protect the U.S. Embassy there. The secretive leader of North Korea, Kim Jong-il, crossed the border into Russia today to begin a 10-day train ride across Siberia en route to Moscow. Kim Jong-il always takes the train. He is rumored to be afraid of flying. In Cuba, President Fidel Castro led a march of more than 1 million people through Havana to mark the 48th anniversary of the Cuban Revolution. One diplomat said of President Castro, there's plenty of life in him yet. In Indonesia today, power has changed hands peacefully for the first time. Abdurrahman Wahid left the presidential palace 4 days after Parliament voted him out of office. He will come to the United States for medical treatment. Later in the broadcast this evening, women in search of relationships on today's college campus. We'll take a closer look. Our correspondent Mike Lee on the road to anywhere. Tonight he's with the Monkees, mostly. And when we come back, what's in the food? Do you not wish they would tell the truth on the package?
This is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. Brought to you by Cheerios.
Daddy?
Hey!
Why are you eating my Cheerios?
They help lower Daddy's cholesterol. They're good for Daddy's heart.
Ah.
Whole grain oat Cheerios is the only leading cold cereal clinically proven to help lower cholesterol in a low-fat diet.
Cholesterol thing.
Feel free to have a good laugh because a bladder control issue doesn't have to control you. Serenity Thin is made to do what a maxi pad can't. It's thinner and drier than the leading maxi. Serenity Thin, more confidence, more comfort, more you.
I'm the bus lady. Some mornings I was so constipated I could hardly drive. Till I tried new X-Lax Milk of Magnesia. Stimulant-free. Guaranteed relief by 8 a.m. Good morning.
New X-Lax Milk of Magnesia with the X-Lax Good Morning Guarantee.
I have type 2 diabetes, and I will always take care of myself. I stick to my regimen. I had to make that commitment to diet and exercise.
But diet and exercise weren't enough.
So my doctor added Avandia to help control my blood sugar.
Unlike some diabetes medications, Avandia helps my body use the natural insulin it already makes.
Avandia has helped keep my blood sugar down for about a year now.
Avandia in combination with insulin may increase the risk of serious heart problems. Because of this, talk to your doctor before using Avandia and insulin together. Avandia may cause fluid retention or swelling, which could lead to or worsen heart failure. Avandia is not for everyone. If you have severe heart failure or active liver disease, Avandia is not recommended. Some people may experience weight gain with Avandia. To check for serious liver problems, blood tests should be conducted before and during Avandia therapy.
This commitment is for me, but it's also for my family.
Eat right, exercise, and if that's not enough, ask your doctor about Avandia.
So it may always be stronger than diabetes.
A group which advocates for food safety said today that American consumers are still being deceived by the labels. 6 years ago, the Center for Science in the Public Interest urged the government to regulate the labeling on food products more strictly. Nothing happened. Now the consumer advocates have gone back to the grocery stores and nothing has happened. Here's ABC's Jackie Judd.
The message today, shoppers beware. What is advertised on the outside is not always what is on the inside.
I don't like being tricked. I don't like having to read all this fine print.
But that is what the Center for Science in the Public Interest claims is still routinely happening, that consumers are being tricked. The center says it found several dozen examples, including Stonyfield Farms strawberry vanilla yogurt that promises no yucky stuff. It also has no strawberries. This soup with more shrimp is actually skimpy on the shrimp, from 0 to 4 tiny ones per cup. Strawberry Melon Fruitworks, billed as a real fruit beverage, has no strawberry or melon juice, just a little bit of pear juice.
Companies are trying to reposition the same old line of processed foods as nutritious and healthful by portraying, wholesome ingredients on the fronts of packages, but not really putting those ingredients in any significant quantities in the box.
It is the front of packages where manufacturers can use their creativity, vague words, and suggestive pictures because of loosely written government rules.
The front of the panel is more of an attention grabber for a consumer and probably used more for marketing purposes than it would be for listing ingredients or giving nutrition information.
But the more strictly regulated and more difficult to understand nutrition labels on the back are what consumers often ignore.
Seeing modified cornstarch, fructose, and I don't see anything that resembles any kind of fruit at all.
The Food and Drug Administration said today it would review carefully the center's request for stricter oversight. That is the same thing the FDA said 6 years ago. Jackie Judd, ABC News, Washington.
In the medical file tonight, a woman in Cincinnati who's been in a coma since November has given birth to a healthy girl. Very rare. The woman was 2 weeks pregnant when she was injured in a car crash. When she came to term, doctors induced labor. The Centers for Disease Control reports today that the West Nile virus has spread as far south as the Florida Panhandle. At least one person there is sick with the virus. The disease, which is transmitted by mosquitoes, has been found all along the East Coast now, from Massachusetts down. And doctors at the Mayo Clinic say that the controversial drug thalidomide is an effective early treatment for multiple myeloma, the kind of blood cancer. Thalidomide was used to treat nausea in pregnant women until the 1970s, when it was linked to serious birth defects. When we come back, college and commitment. Hard to find for young women today.
Today I made an omelet.
I picked an apple.
I sent the fax.
This is about chemotherapy and living your life. This is about Procrit. If you're a chemotherapy patient and you feel tired and weak, ask your doctor about Procrit.
I played a game.
Procrit is a natural way to regain red blood cells lost during chemotherapy. And more red blood cells can mean more strength.
I caught a fish.
Procrit is safe and effective. In studies, only diarrhea and edema occurred more often with Procrit than placebo. Procrit is for patients with non-myeloid cancers.
I went to the store.
Call now and learn how Procrit can help you get back the strength you need. Your strength for living.
Meet Mark. Mark marks. Mark's mom, Peg, pledges. Pledge removes marker marks. Pledge stops crayon marks. Pledge gets very high marks everywhere Mark marks. Pledge cleans, conditions, and protects from a world full of marks.
It's LensCrafters' best $99 offer ever. Right now, get a complete pair of glasses with DuraLens, our most scratch-resistant plastic lens for only $99. The $99 DuraLens event. This one you don't want to miss.
Looking for a quiet moment? Get a quieter cookie. Soft, fruit, chewy Fig Newtons. Time out from the everyday crunch.
I asked my doctor about Lipitor. Have you?
Ask your doctor what Lipitor can do for you and call 1-888-LIPITOR or visit our website to learn more.
Crab portobello.
At Red Lobster, we love preparing crab in fresh new ways. So come in now for the Festival of Crab. Red Lobster, go overboard.
New Maalox Max challenges Mylanta Supreme. Who neutralizes more acid? Maalox Max. Relieves pressure and bloating. Maalox Max. Comes in 3 great new flavors. Maalox Max. 3 ways the right choice is new Maalox Max. Take relief to the max.
We're going to take a closer look tonight at some of the attitudes and values of women in college. There is a study published today on how young women and men meet and mate and decide about marriage. It focuses on women in college in part because college women are at the leading edge of society and will have an influence on the next generation of young people. 83% of women, students, consider marriage an important goal, and 63% hope to find their husband in college. The campus culture is sometimes a serious obstacle. Here's ABC's Michelle Norris.
While the vast majority of female college students yearn for a stable and loving relationship, fewer women are engaging in the kind of behavior that would help them achieve that goal. This according to researchers at the Institute for American Values, a group devoted to the renewal of traditional marriage and family life.
Hey, woke up one day and she kicked me out. What's the big deal?
Based on interviews with 1,000 college students, the group found that today's campus dating scene often leaves females with one of two choices: sexual intimacy with no hope for commitment, or intense relationships where young women move in with their boyfriends without first getting emotionally acquainted.
It just seems like commitment's not first priority for anybody anymore. It seems like it's just easier to just move from one person to the next in an ongoing cycle.
Now it's like women are becoming more like the guys as far as looking for sex instead of a relationship.
While women may act more like men in pursuing sex, the problem is that women react differently when it's all over.
Many of them nevertheless want a relationship to develop, and they feel confused and awkward afterwards.
And there are other risks as well: unintended pregnancies and sexually transmitted diseases. The report's findings reflect a growing national discomfort with the culture of promiscuity, reflected in sexually charged music videos and television shows like Sex and the City, a top-rated show among college-aged women. Even more liberal feminists are beginning to raise concerns that sexual freedom comes at a high price.
Young people today are growing up without a sense of sexual self-respect. Young men and young women, they are growing up in a culture that bombards them with pornographic imagery from the time they are little kids.
The sexual revolution gave women more freedom, but also greater burdens. As old-fashioned courtship rituals faded away, so too did the kind of guiding principles that helped women make emotionally healthy choices.
Freedom, especially when people are left entirely on their own, is a very hard thing to handle. All of us need to have guidance.
With 100 women on campus for every 79 men, the report said women are more likely to initiate sex. And since those demographic trends will continue, so too could the number of relationships based on sex with no commitment. Michelle Norris, ABC News, Los Angeles.
When we come back, our correspondent Mike Lee on the road to anywhere, checking out a bond between the species.
These two women started scrubbing their bathtubs at the same time. The woman on the right used deeper, penetrating scrubbing bubbles. The woman on the left is using Tilex. Be done with scum faster with scrubbing bubbles. They work even harder, so you don't have to.
You strive for perfection in the kitchen. Wield highly precise instruments. Test things 500,000 times. Work with tolerances of less than 1/1000th of an inch. You could be making a Delta faucet. Precisely crafted and relentlessly refined, Delta faucets achieve perfection in the kitchen. Even if you can't. Delta, beautifully engineered.
I'm every man.
And every woman who ever suffered from frequent, persistent heartburn.
If you've treated your heartburn and changed your diet, but the pain comes back 2 or more days a week, then you may think you know about acid reflux disease.
But there's something about acid reflux that I didn't know.
Over time, that acid churning up can wear away the lining of your esophagus.
I didn't know.
I didn't know.
I didn't.
Now the makers of Prilosec introduced their new purple pill, Nexium. Just 1 prescription Nexium a day gives many people complete resolution of heartburn symptoms.
That could mean complete heartburn relief.
And Nexium is also proven to heal erosions in the esophagus caused by acid reflux. Only a doctor can determine if you have this damage. Other serious stomach conditions may still exist. The most common side effects of Nexium and Prilosec are headache, diarrhea, and abdominal pain. So talk to your doctor and call this number for more information and for a free trial certificate for Nexium.
Relieve the heartburn, heal the damage. It's possible with the new purple pill called Nexium.
Facts of Life by Lysol. Fact, carpet odors can give your nose a real workout. Fact, introducing Lysol Fabric Refresher. Lysol eliminates odors on fabrics caused by bacteria, mold, and mildew. Life demands Lysol. That's a fact.
What are you doing?
Laundry.
Laundry?
But I'm glad you're up. I've been waiting to vacuum. Breakfast. I'll pick up your tray when I get back from the market.
But it's Sunday. Aren't you going to lay around and watch football all day?
Not if I'm going to finish that roast in time for dinner.
Somebody had their Minute Maid this morning. It only takes a minute, but the feeling lasts all day.
Honey, what's the setting for chiffon?
I'm Steve Dunn. Coming up next on K2 News, county commissioners call for the resignation of Portland School Board member Derry Jackson. It's closing its doors for good tonight, what the closure of the triage center means for mental health care in Portland. And local police recruiters take alternative ways to get new interest in joining the force. K2 News is next.
A vacation these families won't forget. It's not for the faint-hearted, but the experience will last a lifetime. Join their unusual adventure on the road to anywhere on World News Tonight.
Finally tonight, on the road to anywhere with our correspondent Mike Lee, the fourth contribution this week. Tonight we go to the outskirts of Cape Town in South Africa. Having spent several nights with people in faraway places, tonight Mike spends some time with interesting creatures in a faraway place.
This place is full of orphans. Some rejected at birth by their mothers. Others sent here from overcrowded African zoos or abandoned by private owners.
To many people, monkeys like this are irresistible. That's why so many are purchased as pets when they're young. But eventually, many pet owners reject their monkeys because they become too much trouble.
The problem is they usually become attached to one member of a human family and, by instinct, will attack anyone else who comes near. They are often locked up, neglected, or given away.
Hello, my angel.
So, 13 years ago, Rosaline Grobler opened her home to unwanted and abused pet monkeys. When things got out of hand, she built the Monkey Town Zoo. Nearly 200 residents now.
They seem to really look upon you as their mother.
Yes, they do, because they give a lot of love and a lot of attention to them.
This is Sebes. When he came here, he was addicted to alcohol. His owner had forced him to drink beer. He's fine now.
Hello, sweetie pie. How are you?
Rosalind cares for these monkeys, but she worries about the next generation. So she has done something drastic. She's raising her granddaughter, Issa, alongside a family of chimpanzees. Issa and Tammy the chimp are both 14 months old. They play together several times a week. Because chimps have human-like emotions, they behave like sisters. Sharing. Taking. Reacting to each other's moods. It's all designed to give Issa an early love of monkeys and chimps, so she will someday take charge of Monkey Town.
Our plan is, of course, that Issa can be closer to the nature and grow up with the love of the monkeys like I am.
You've got her life planned out in a way, don't you?
No, I haven't got it planned out, but I'm hoping.
A grandmother's mission. A monkey's dream come true. Mike Lee, ABC News, near Cape Town, South Africa.
Correspondent's dream come true, finding a story like that. That's our report on World News Tonight. Tomorrow on World News, we're going to talk to Lance Armstrong, the cancer survivor who is now heading for a third victory in the world's greatest bicycle race. Don't forget Nightline later this evening. I'm Peter Jennings. Have a good evening and good night.
ABC's World News Tonight, nominated for more news Emmys than any other nightly news. No wonder more Americans get their news from ABC News. Sex, lies, and secret files. The world watched Catalina Witt on ice, but secret agents spied on her everywhere. Rumors her bedroom was wired, and close friends betrayed her. The truth about the Witt files on Primetime tonight.
Connecting you to your world. This is K2 News.
Good evening from K2. I'm Paul Lindman. And I'm Steve Dunn. Thank you for joining us. The pressure continues to mount tonight. More calls for Derry Jackson to resign from the Portland School Board. Jackson's anti-Semitic comments and some say his weak apology caused the Multnomah County Board of Commissioners today to seek his resignation. K2's Dan Tilken has the latest on that story. Dan.
Well, the county commissioner's call on Jackson to resign is the latest move in the controversy that all began with a school board meeting in May.
When Derry Jackson apologized Wednesday, he didn't know Multnomah County Commissioner Maria Rojo DeSteffi was hoping to find reason in his words to stop her from sending a letter asking him to resign. But she and the other commissioners didn't find it.
We cannot tolerate racism or anti-Semitic remarks like this from anybody.
The issue began 2 months before Saturday's Oregonian article, which quotes Jackson as saying Jews run everything. It was at this May's school board meeting. The topic, the district's ban on military recruiting in Portland schools because the military does not allow openly gay members. Derry Jackson argued allowing recruiters into schools would create a career option for black students.
I have a problem when you equate what the struggle is